All right, so we are live. Interview with Mr. Siloh Moses. It's good to see you, man. You're going to be a panelist and a speaker at our event next week, the GHL Assembly. And let's just talk a little bit about who you are and what you do, and kind of like what you plan on talking about next week.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much, Dakota, for having me here. Absolute pleasure. My name is Siloh Moses. I have a company, and essentially what we do is we launch, we grow, and we scale online paid membership communities for entrepreneurs. And we do this with the help of AI. I myself, I just love communities, whether they're online or offline. One of my first successful communities was an offline community I created here in Las Vegas, where we're an organization that goes out and essentially serves those who are less fortunate. We serve them with fresh food, clothing, hygiene, haircuts, hugs, you name it. We do it all in a weekly event. And where we could serve anywhere from 150 to almost 800 people at every serving.
Wow.
And started this organization by myself, essentially standing on a street corner with a pot of spaghetti. So
a pot of spaghetti. How long ago was that?
That was a few years back. It was just essentially myself. And through the power of just telling people what I was doing, I eventually started to create a community. That community went from myself being on that street corner to 150 people standing there with me, all of us serving, and then turns into, now it's a community where if we host an event, we're now serving 3,000 people in a single day.
That is remarkable. Wow.
Yeah.
So, and these are all homeless, less fortunate?
Yeah, so we've branched out. So of course it's less fortunate, meaning anyone who doesn't have a roof over their head, but we also serve people who do have a roof over their head. And these would be the single moms, single dads, maybe 3 kids in a household, working 2 jobs, still can't keep food in the fridge. They're more than welcome to come down to and get served by us for free.
That's fantastic, man. And so you've been doing that now for several years. I mean, that's a big deal. The fact that you started it by yourself and then it grew to, even 150 is big. But to have a group as big as 3,000 out there. Now, do you obviously get volunteers to come in and help with you?
Yeah. Everyone that comes down, brings food from their own kitchens, their own pantries. If they're bringing hygiene products, those hygiene products come from their own bathrooms. If they're bringing clothing, they're bringing clothing from their own closets. And they basically are able to take a shirt that was sitting on a shelf in their closet, put it on the back of someone who's less fortunate, and watch them walk away wearing it.
Wow. I love it, man. That's a big deal. And so then you've now taken that mentality of growing a community, physically, to the online space, and tell us more about that.
Yeah. So I essentially moved the skills that I learned to online space. And what I did was I wanted to see if those skills would translate. So going from standing on a street corner by myself and serving a pot of spaghetti to serving 3,000 people in a single day with 150 people just like me, there's a lot of skills that you learn along the way. A lot of how to communicate, how to build teams, how to build roles, how to put proper people in proper positions to make sure you're executing, and making sure you're getting the desired result that you want at the end of the day, right? Even if it's just making sure someone has a full belly, right? And so I took those skills and I wanted to see if they translated online. So I built an online community, built it on Facebook. This was my very first community. And I made it private, invite only. And then what I did I just started doing some really cool stuff online in regards to how to market those communities, how to fill them, and how to scale them. So I started an online community. I was the only person in there at this time. I'm literally waving to myself and commenting and liking my own comments, right? Liking my own posts because I'm the only one in there. And
I may have never done that.
And so I started to market this online community, and within a week, I had 675 people waiting to get in. Dude. And then what I did on week 2 is I went that much heavier on the online marketing. In
Okay.
week 2, I had 951 additional people waiting to get into my community. And then I wanted to make sure what I was doing was correct and it wasn't a fluke. So I said, okay, I'm going to do this again to make sure I've got something that really works here. And it's not just something that's hot. So I did it 3 weeks in a row. And on that 3rd week, I had now an additional 1,000 people waiting to get into my community.
That's amazing.
So in 3 weeks, I had 2,779 people inside my community, which I started 3 weeks prior with posting and liking my own post.
That's
the only one in there.
So, since you're so big in the community space, do you have like a favorite community platform, like Facebook group or Facebook groups or school or even high level or anything like that?
Yeah. When it comes to our clients, like we just want to be, well, first we have a very strategic, very well thought through process that we do for our clients. And so when they onboard and they're looking to build a private members only community where they're getting residual income every month because these people are paying to be a part of this community, we sit down with them and we essentially go through their business plan. We go through their customer base. We're like, okay, what's the average age of your customers? What part of the United States do they live in? Okay. Again, very thought out process. Now, depending on the client, they could have customers whose average age is 50. Well, if that's the case, then their community is going to be on Facebook. Because, let's be honest, there's a lot of older, more mature people on Facebook today than there are younger people. Wow, yeah. And on the flip side of that, if their customer base is 20 to 30 or even 18 to 30, then most likely it's going to be somewhere where it's a little bit more aggressive and younger, like TikTok or whatever that looks like, right? So it just really comes down to our client's average age of person who purchases our products. And then that determines where we go as far as launching their community on the platform.
Wow, I never really thought about it like that, but that makes perfect sense. You're right. Like my daughters, I'll tag them on something on Facebook and they're like, I'll never see it. If I tag them on something on TikTok or something like that, they're on it in 3 minutes. But right. I never got that granular about it, and that makes perfect sense. Wow, thanks for sharing that, brother. I appreciate that. So
yeah, for sure.
So next week you're speaking at the GHL assembly, and we're going to announce what day it is. I think tomorrow. But what kind of stuff are you going to talk about?
What we're talking about right now. So we're going to be talking about community. We're going to be talking about AI, right? And of course, high level, right? Because you can also run communities on high level. And you can also use high level for their AI component as well, right? With voice agents. Yeah. So we're going to be talking about some really good stuff. So excited.
And you and I had the pleasure, like I think 2 months ago, roughly, of attending an AI mastermind. And I try to attend as many masterminds as I can from all different walks of life about different topics and different people. People that are newer in the industry to people that are older in the industry. Like, do you go to masterminds or these type of events often?
I do. I still consider myself a student and a student of every game and of life in general. So
100%.
I love putting myself out there. I love kind of being in situations where I don't know everyone, and I like being a new person in the room. So yeah. I'm at those events all the time. There's a lot
of people that get uncomfortable in spaces like that, but that's where I thrive. I'm like, I'll sit back and introduce myself and talk to people and just let conversations happen organically. And those end up being the strongest, conversations and the strongest clients later. Because you meet people that you can fellowship with, people that will become clients. You might become a client of theirs, all different walks of life with these things. So I love it. So the GHL assembly is next week. It's July 10th, 11th, and 12th. If you have not gotten your tickets, you can go to ghlassembly.com. And I believe, have you given away all your tickets yet?
We're pretty close. Yeah, we're pretty close.
All right, I tell you what.
As you can see, I've been pushing it pretty hard.
I'll throw a free one in the mix for you and give you an extra free one just so that anybody who's watching this live, if you want to grab your free ticket, use a coupon code FREE, FREE, at ghlassembly.com. It is in Las Vegas. It is an in-person event. It's going to be fantastic. We're providing food all 3 days. We even have a drink mixer, open bar on one of the nights. High Level's going to be there. You're going to be there. I'm going to be there. Andy's going to be there. A bunch of other people are going to be there. It's going to be a great event. Awesome, man. I appreciate you joining us today. Thank you for answering these questions. And I'm looking forward to seeing you next week, brother.
Absolutely. It's going to be a blast.
All right.
Thanks.